This video goes with the blog 3 Ways to Increase Excel's Usability and Ease of Use. And Excel is one of my most favorite software applications, which is why I often write about it, and I'm hoping to get more people excited about it. So this video in particular, I'm going to try to go through these fairly quickly so this doesn't drag on, because I could tell you a million things about Excel and it would get boring. But what I'm going to talk about today is how to make Excel a little bit easier to use, especially if you're not familiar with it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is how to auto-resize these columns. So you could do this with columns or rows, but the important thing to know is that you must be up here in the header row to be able to make this work. So you actually need to see this icon right here where it's a dark black line with a double arrowed horizontal line in between. So if I click on this, I can resize this column. So I can also do this manually. You just have to have the same symbol. You left click and drag, and you can make this any size you want. You can do the same thing with rows, however you want to do it. The problem is, if I scroll down, there's a bunch of data down here that you wouldn't see. So if I were to resize this for what works up here, it's really not good enough for the whole thing, which is why the auto size is great. So if I go back up here and I'm just going to double left click, I've just got to actually get it right and have my hand steady first. Note, you have to have your hand steady for that to work. So now if I scroll down, it's going to be just bigger than what the cell that has the most data in it. This will work with any row or any column anywhere, no matter how long that is. And eventually it can get so long that you might want to actually wrap the language, wrap the sentence. So, but that's how you can automatically resize for for any column or row, the biggest amount of data in a specific cell. You can also, like I just showed you, if you just get the exact same little icon, left click, and you can drag. So in case it goes too far. However, there are times, and over here I just grabbed something from our website because I knew it would be way long and it would be a perfect example. There are times when you resize, and this is the second thing, and once you do, it's so big, it's outside the viewable screen. Now, how user-friendly is this? Not at all. And how am I supposed to resize this? Because I can't get in between that. It's impossible. So there is still a way to do this, though, because if you're looking at it like this is really unusable if you're clicking along and then all of a sudden, boom, it's jumping around. That's really annoying. So the way that you get around that is you right-click, again, in the header row. You got to be able to get in the header row, which is going to be letters for columns and numbers for rows, because that's how you control the entire column, the entire row. Then from there, you say column width. And it doesn't matter what this number is, just make it something way smaller so that it is going to fit in your viewable window. So I'm just going to guess like 110. And I'm going to say OK, or I could have just hit enter. Now it's much smaller. And even though it's still bigger than I would like, so I'm just going to, again, left click drag, but you have to get this icon right here with the tall vertical line and then the horizontal double arrow. That you have to have that symbol. You can't have like this here or the big, the other pluses. It's got to be that one. Drag, and then it's smaller, way more usable. So if you ever automatically auto size something or do like the auto resize and it gets really wide or really tall, this would work the same for rows. It's just you're going to be like this. So it's going to be the vertical double arrow, right? So it's going to depend on if you're in columns or rows. That's how you get yourself out of that situation where you made something, you auto-sized, and now it's like off the screen. So the last thing is how to hide and unhide data. You can hide data in any of these things. So let's just say, this row was names, and you had people's names, or you had their addresses, or something that was either personal or private information that you don't want to share with other people, and or it could just be something that, say, it was information that was taking this much real estate, but it was a bunch of information that you didn't actually need to share with the people you're trying to share with. So maybe you're trying to show them statistics for something, and this just happens to be some sort of history or some other information that doesn't actually tie into the data and you don't really need it. You can hide the column. Really easy to hide a column, not as easy to unhide. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If I right click, again, header row, and I say hide, then it's hidden. It's gone. I can do the same thing with a row. Right click, hide. And again, I'm in the header row or header, the header area, right? Header columns. So now you can see on both of these, it's hard to see, but it's just like a tiny little double line here and here. Now, the biggest giveaway is I go ABD. Obviously, the alphabet doesn't go ABD, nor do numbers go 5, 6, 8. So that's kind of your dead giveaway, but if you also this little double arrow thing. So the key here on unhiding is you absolutely have to be on the exact spot where you hid. So again, I have that exact same little icon with a solid line one direction, double-headed arrow another, and then you left click to actually like highlight that. So here you can see there's a kind of a dark green line here. My hand is real steady there. That's actually selected the right section. If I got off of that a little bit, let me see if I can do it here. It's really easy to do in a column. If you right click, there we go. So then once I try to right click to get the menu, I've actually now just selected this. So clicking unhide is going to do a whole lot of nothing. So what you have to do is you have to be very careful. You got to be really careful that you get clicks. Let me see if I can click on this again. When you want to right click on it. There we go. See, took me a few times and I know what I'm doing technically. And then you click unhide and it'll come right back. So on for whatever reason, I am a little bit better at this with the columns than I am the rows. Don't ask me why. If I click unhide, boom, there it is again. So the unhide is far more difficult or challenging to grab than the hide is. However, that is a really fantastic way of hiding data that you don't necessarily need to present. Maybe it's just too much information, or it could be private information. The last thing I covered in the blog is be careful when you hide information in a document, because if you share it with somebody, all they have to do is right click and say unhide. So you're not really protecting that data in the sense of a security standpoint. If that's something you need to do, you want to save this as a PDF. So you want to hide something. Once you have this data hidden, then now you can save it as a PDF, and there will be no way for somebody to unhide that content, because you can only do that inside of Excel. So that's the best way to share information when you have hidden elements that you want to hide. And it's not necessarily, it doesn't always have to even be data that is a security risk or something like that, or that's private. Sometimes it's just that you're trying to present a report to somebody and they don't need all the data that you need, but the hide feature allows you to present it to them without like recreating, etc., and also without deleting the data. That's the beauty of the hide feature, is you don't have to lose any of the data, yet you've already entered and formatted and whatever. So those are the 3 things that we covered in this blog that talk about how to resize columns for auto fitting, how to resize a column that is too big for the viewable area, and also how to hide and unhide rows and columns.